Hi everybody, this is Chuck Gilmore. I'm going to start early today because I've grown weary of all the tech problems that I've had, and so I want to make sure that we've got sound and video before I start. So if you're there, hi, Altug. How are you? Can you hear me and see me? Hi, Ellie. Thanks for joining me today. I want to make sure that you can hear me and see me right off the bat here. And we'll just kind of kick around here for about 5 minutes. Sounds okay, and I can see. Well, how about that? You know, I didn't do anything different today than I did last week. As I thought about it last week, I thought what I should have done is not only closed everything out, but I should have restarted my Mac just to start from ground level. And that maybe would have given me video. You know, sometimes little bugs like that come into the system, and the only way to do it is to, I restarted my broadcast software, but I didn't restart my Mac. And if I'd done that, I think I probably would have been successful. So I want to welcome you guys. I want to welcome you to our broadcast today. It's going to be a little bit different because I don't really have anything on my plate that I want to present to you to start out. So when the broadcast begins, we'll just start doing some Q&A and we'll see where that takes us. And if we don't have a lot of different questions, then it might be a shorter broadcast. And if we have a lot of questions, then we'll go maybe the full 45 minutes. So how's everybody doing today? I hope you're having a great day. It's summertime here in my part of the United States, and we're going to be in the upper 90s, close to 100 today, I think, from what I've been told. In fact, I can do a quick check here and see it's only 87 degrees in my hometown today, so we're a little on the cooler side. We got up in the upper 90s yesterday. So anyway, it's a beautiful day, clear blue sky, just to give you a weather report. Okay. Now, great. So we should have a good time today. We're going to be talking a little bit about whatever you want to talk about singing-wise. It's kind of fun and interesting to watch. My YouTube channel is now up to 21,200 and something. So it just continues to grow. It's very gratifying, and I appreciate the support that you all give me in the channel. And some great, wonderful feedback. Today I had just a wonderful note from a gentleman, professional piano player who's never had vibrato, and he found my video on how to get vibrato in 5 different ways, and he was just elated and so pleased and excited. And that made me feel really good. So, okay, we're down to the last minute and a half here before we go live, and want to welcome Altug, Ellie, Stingo Roar, Michael, hello, Hardick, nice to have you here, Innate, Innate, that's a fun play on words, Innate. Welcome, and Berno and Ferno. Hi, nice to have you with me today and with us all as a group. In the next just few seconds here, when it hits the top of the hour, we'll get started in earnest and we'll start doing some Q&As. I had a heck of a cold last week, and so I'm still coming off of the cold. I just seem to be susceptible to colds. Either that or it's all my students doing this right at me, you know. I imagine I pick up a few germs that way. So if it's not my students, it's my grandchildren trying to kill me off. Hi, I'm Chuck Gilmore with Power to Sing live number 40, and welcome to the live broadcast. For those of you who were here last week, you know that the broadcast turned into a podcast because for some reason we couldn't get the video to work. And it's working now, so we're very excited about this. We'll be able to, at least we can relate a little bit more visually today. And so thank you for joining me, and welcome to all of you who are here. Yepadios. Eternal, hi Eternal. So we got a nice, good group here. So let's get started. Today's topic is you ask, I answer. Anything about singing? I don't need anything. I mean, if you want to ask some personal questions, well, that's fine too. But let's get started here, and we'll see what we can do. I'm happy to report that those who came in early have indicated that they can hear and see all right. So if you have a problem with your video or your audio, it doesn't seem to be the broadcast, because I've gotten reports from all over the world that it's coming through. So again, great to have everybody here. Let's just get started here. My monitor is here, so forgive me for not looking at this while I'm reading it, but I want to have it on a bigger screen here. So this is from N8. Hello, I'm practicing singing for almost a year and still have issues with my high notes. I feel not comfortable. What exercise do you recommend? N8, I don't know how much you've seen of my website. And so right now, from the very start here, I'm going to review the website and what I recommend for students to do in order to tell you what exercises. What I don't think works is just random exercises. I'd like to try and target them according to your individual needs. And the best way for me to do that is to be able to assess your voice. And so I have a test that I have on my own website. So I'm going to put my website on the screen right now, and then I'm going to show you. If you go to powertosing.com, there is something called the Power Test. And this is a video that explains how to take the Power Test. And essentially what you do is you start the recording here, the red button. You select whether you're male or female, and the same voice for kids. But I mainly just have, most of the time here, it's men or women's voices that you could select. And then you start playing it, and it plays a piano accompaniment. It sounds like this. And so the way I instruct you to do it is to sing ah, ah, and we go up the scale until it ends up here for the men. Now for the ladies, they start here, ah, and they end up here. These notes that you sing back to me on ah take you right through your first bridge of your voice. And after you finish that, then you stop the recording, and then you can play it back and listen to it. And when you're playing it back and listening to it, then you answer these questions. Does it feel like I'm yelling or straining? Yeah, it really did. So you start answering these questions. Does it feel like something stopped my voice? Absolutely it did. Did it suddenly break or anything? No, it didn't break. And so on. And so you go down this list of all these, and you answer the questions. You submit your answers. You put your email address on there, and within a few minutes, you get your what's called your vocal type, right? So the vocal type is critical to understanding your singing success. So your vocal type could be pulled chest, high larynx, could be light chest, no chest, split falsetto, or mix. Then I recommend that what you do is you come up here to the Knowledge Center, you click on the Knowledge Center, and you go to these four videos here will explain the vocal type. What is pulled chest, high larynx? And so if that's your vocal type, you click on this screen, and here's a detailed information about pulled chest, high larynx. And then here are vocal exercises. It's really interesting how right now, for some reason, these aren't loading the thumbnails, but they work. And so you would watch the video, and I do demonstrations of the exercises that I want you to do for your vocal type. Now I'm going to come back to the screen here. So these exercises then are designed, I demonstrate them, and they're designed for your specific vocal type, whether it's pulled chest, high larynx, light chest, no chest, flip, falsetto, or mix. I go into detail on those exercises. Also on that same page that you just saw, there is a mashup of singers who pull their chest and have a high larynx. So you kind of watch that and get an idea of what it sounds like to have pulled chest, high larynx. And these are like professionals. These are people right off the internet. I mean, this is Christina Aguilera and others who demonstrate how to pull the chest voice. Now, the exercises are designed to counteract those tendencies to pull the chest voice too high or to have a high larynx, because we want to eliminate those problems so that when you sing through the bridge of your voice, you don't get jammed up or stuck. So getting back to the question now of that was asked by Innate, you ask, the high notes don't feel comfortable. The exercises that I provide here on the website, I didn't also explain on that last page, you can download free exercises, download them, and then practice them. So they're designed to help you bridge easily through from chest to head voice so that the head voice notes become much easier to do, okay? So that's a long answer to a short question, but it might come up again today, and I want to explain it on the video and show you that you can go to the website, find out your vocal type. Now there's another option. I'll pause here and say you can also send me, because the last couple days we found out that there's, for some reason, when you push the send button, it's just, there's a little wheel that keeps on going. So we're working on that today, in fact. But another way you can send me, you can send me the test is you can just send me the recording, and I'll listen to it. I will actually listen to it and tell you what your vocal type is. So you can either do it with the quiz, and that's going to be fixed in the next day or so. I apologize. I don't know what happened. It's some little bug with a plug-in that we put in is causing some problem. And then, or if you don't want to wait to have that fixed, you can record it on that SpeakPipe recording, and it'll give you the option to send it to me, okay? And then I'll listen to it and then tell you what your vocal type is. Then go to the Knowledge Center, watch the videos all about your vocal type, download the free exercises, start working on those. Those are the exercises, Innate, that I recommend for you to do, okay? So I hope that's helpful. Ellie asks, is it possible for you to demonstrate how to transition from chest and mix or belt without breaking or flipping or sounding like someone else totally? So Ellie, I'll just give you a little background on my voice. There was a time when I could not sing this note. Here's the middle C, E, a D, E, right here. That would be the top note. And it was hard. And the F I wouldn't even try because I would crack. I go on the falsetto, and so that'd be my note. And so I just thought, and my teacher told me this, that the answer was I was just a bass, and so I didn't even try to to sing that note. Anything above an E, above middle C. Break. Or just scream it. Or I could maybe do kind of like what's called a cover. And but that changed my voice, and I do musical theater, and so those kinds of options wouldn't work because it just you couldn't do that on stage and have you taken seriously as a singer or an actor. And so when I was 43 years old, I attended a workshop put on by Seth Riggs here in our city, and started studying with one of his teachers. And within about 6 weeks, with this technique, I could sing the F above middle C, which was like a miracle to me. And then through the process of time, and through the process of many different, and it took me several years, I was able to learn how to do it like this. That's the high C, and I'm not in falsetto. That's a transition into my head voice. So, to make it simpler, if you listen to my vowel, now if I don't change AH and let it go to, if I'm doing it correctly, AH becomes UH. It's not So one way of doing this is to allow, or to, maybe at first you have to consciously make an adjustment on the vowel, AH to UH. So I'm narrowing a more open vowel to a little more closed vowel. Now, I'm not really thinking of changing it, because if I keep that vertical, maintain that vertical, because of the inclusion of the vertical, then AH becomes UH. It's just where the resonance shifts into my head, the vowel also modifies on its own. Now that's a lot of mumbo jumbo that doesn't really translate always, just to say that the vowel is narrowing slightly in order for the resonance to make an adjustment so that I don't splat, or I don't crack or break, or I don't pull up the chest voice, or I don't have to do it with some kind of a funny cover. So now, when you were first beginning, one of the things that might help you, Ellie, is if you said, nay, 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 not too loud, nay, 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 nay. That's one of the tools you can use to start to build the connection from your chest to your head. That wasn't pulled up chest. It's lighter than chest, but it wasn't falsetto. It's deeper than falsetto. So what is that? Well, it's the beginning of a mixed voice. There's a blend of chest and head there. Now, we don't want to stay with that, right? We can't sing that way all the time. Nay, nay, nay. So once that starts to build in and start to get comfortable with that, then you progress on to no, 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 no. You go on to the word, let's say you go to no. That brings the larynx down a little bit and it gives you a little bit more of a natural sound. Or even if you just said, instead of nay, 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 you said nay, 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 and went a little more normal nay. And as soon as if anything goes wrong and it starts to break, then you have to go back to what you were doing before. Another great exercise to start blending, start learning to transition from chest to head is, for the men, it would be like right about here. So you just keep climbing up by half steps and go and start working that bubble right through, that bubble lip, right through the bridge area of your voice, the break area of your voice. And that will start to also unify that. At any time, though, if you went and it cracked, then that wouldn't be adequate. You're not going to accomplish what your goal is. So hopefully that's two different ways, Ellie, of being able to transition from chest into head voice without cracking. Okay, moving on. Thank you, Bruno Inferno. Thanks for that. He says that loves the channel, loves the advice. Good to see you too also. Thank you for joining today. Altug asks, do you think some singers have the option to choose to be a baritone or a tenor? I know that there are some, I'm not as thoroughly versed in the opera literature and the opera world, but I do know that there have been, for example, some tenors who wanted to sing heavier tenor parts, like something from Wagner, but they were lighter. Countertenors, or had a lighter voice, and so or they were a very high baritone that wanted to do a tenor part, and so those singers, I think, have done that, and so in that way they can choose the kind of music they are singing. Now that doesn't necessarily mean they were altogether successful, but they could do it. However, it didn't mean that they did it the very best. Maybe perhaps the countertenor, the other higher lyric tenors could do it a better job, but they could do it. So in that way, Altug, I think that some singers do have an option that they can choose because they have the higher notes. That doesn't necessarily mean that they should, but they can choose to do that. Now, but does that mean that I could choose to be a basso cantata, and I could also choose to be a tenor, just because I have some tenor notes? I don't really think so. But I think we can get way too tied up in terms of what is my, what am I? Am I a tenor? Am I a lyric tenor? Am I a countertenor? Am I a baritone? Am I a bass? All those different things. I don't think we should obsess over them. I think we find the music that we love, we sing it, and we can even take a chance once in a while. I mean, I did a song one time that had a B flat in it. Well, it didn't have a B flat. I added the B flat. And it was something from Carousel, and it's supposed to end on the F. Oh, die! The last word is die. Die! And instead of saying, oh, die, I said, oh, let me see. Die, die! I took the B flat, and I could do it. But, it really wasn't, I did it for Seth, and he said, well, your vibrato slowed. It got a little bit, it wasn't quite as good as it was on the F. You probably should stay with the F. Well, so just because you can do it doesn't necessarily mean you should. Just because you can sing the higher or whatever, the lower, maybe your tessitura, that is the general timbre of your voice, the heft, or the lightness of the voice, or whatever it is, the total thing that is your voice, perhaps it blossoms on the higher notes, or perhaps it blossoms on the lower notes, or perhaps it just there's something about that middle area that just makes your voice stand out. I think that's where you want to spend most of your time. That doesn't mean you can't take a high note once in a while, but I think that you try and find. And here's the problem. I was stuck in my lower voice as many of you have, and so I just wanted to sing high. I just want to do the high notes because I can now, and so I want to do it. But that doesn't necessarily mean that that's where my voice really shines, really stands out, And I'm beginning to embrace the fact that, yes, in fact, I am a basso cantata, that I even bridge lower. And that's kind of disappointing to me because I always wanted to sing higher. But I'm starting to feel how much better my voice feels when I'm in this area of the lower bridge. I bridge now basically where the bass, the basso profundos, the A, the B flat, B and C, middle C. And so I'm finding that it's more like home to me. So that's a long answer to a short question. So I'll be in a show in musical theater, and if the directors say, "Can you sing tenor?" I can do that. Sure, I can sing tenor. I would actually prefer to sing anymore. I'd rather sing the baritone or the bass because that's what I sang all my life, and so I can do it a lot faster, a lot easier. But I can do the tenor. But I wouldn't necessarily say that I could sing the tenor solos. I mean, I could probably do it, but maybe not as nicely as a real tenor voice. Okay, so moving on. Ellie asks, I love you, by the way. Well, thank you, Ellie. I appreciate that. Actually, I've been contacted by Freya, and she wanted to start doing some chatting back and forth, and it was just right in the middle of a show I was in, and plus I do these videos every week, and I just was like jammed up and couldn't make contact. But I'm going to try and recontact her. I think she's a very nice lady. Hardick, how do we get to the whistle register? You know what? I don't. There's a guy online, and he does a really good job. He's like the New York voice lessons or voice lessons to the world, and he's based in New York City. I can't remember his name right now. He's got a video, one of his videos that he posts. He's got a bunch of them. He actually teaches you how to do the whistle register, and I would recommend just go right to him. I watched it. I thought it was pretty cool. I don't use it myself. I don't really teach it, and I haven't met anybody yet that really uses it. But it's kind of an interesting little thing that people can do. But one of the things he does, he kind of gets you started by inhaling backwards. I'm inhaling. I'm taking air in through my cords backwards, and that's one way to start finding it. So anyway, he goes more in detail on that. I don't really spend any time on it. You have to, Altag asks, do I have to continue doing the gi or go or goo exercise even though my larynx is stabilized and dropped to speech level? Altag, you may always want to revisit that periodically. And they're great warm-ups, and they're great for conditioning and so forth. If you think of like professional basketball players, or professional athletes, professional soccer player, football players, when they condition, they're not always doing new exercises. Sometimes they're doing the same exercises because they're really the very best, and they keep you in condition. So feel free to continue doing these periodically. The only thing we can discontinue it after a while is the nay, nay, nay. And yet I still like to do them once in a while because I'm training a different layer of, I'm training a different part of the vocal cord right here. If this is the chord structure, I'm kind of training this area up in here. Nay, nay, nay. And there's some aspect of that that I think is helpful. So almost all these exercises I'll revisit and do in my own voice and do in my students' voices. But fundamentally, we don't sing with the bratty sound like that, or we don't sing with the dopey sound. So we don't want to carry those things into our singing. That's the main point. So we discontinue those sounds so that we don't have that in our. That's not a speech level. It's off level. It's off the vocal. It's off level that the larynx is imposed down, or it's off level because the larynx is elevated. We don't need to do it once the primary function has been achieved. That being said, those are great exercises, and you can do them periodically if they're going to serve your needs. I have another question. Hi, Chuck. You always say the first bridge of your videos. Is there a second, third, or something? And where are they? Yes. The second, first of all, if I am a basso profundo or if I am a contralto, then I'm going to bridge lower than just a regular bass or baritone or a regular alto or soprano would. And so for the lowest bridge in the men's voices, for the very deep voice, the true basso cantata, he would bridge here, A below middle C, A, B flat, B, and C. For most men with regular bass, baritone, tenor voice, they bridge. The first bridge is the E, F, F sharp above middle C. And so let's call that the first bridge. In my case, it would be my second bridge, but generally speaking, for most men, it would be that E, F, F sharp above middle C. Their second bridge then would be A, B flat, B, and C. Ladies, right away, you recognize that that's probably your first bridge, which is the A, B flat, B, and the high C. So the A above middle C, B flat, which is, these are all like the B4, the B flat 4, the B, and then the C5, which is the octave above middle C. That's the women's first bridge. Men, it's your second bridge. For me personally, because I'm bridging at A below middle C, because of the depth and heft in my voice, that would be my third bridge. So going on, men, generally speaking, your next bridge is after we get through high C, E, F, F sharp. So it's an octave higher than your first bridge, is your third bridge. Men, there's a fourth bridge. Most of us guys don't have to worry too much about that, but for the high tenor voices, your next bridge is the A, B flat, B, and C6, which also happens to be, if we come back down, for the women, after your first bridge is the A, B flat, B, and C, high C. Now it's the E, F, F sharp, 5, and then the third bridge is the A, B flat, B, 5, C6. That's the third bridge. And then the ladies have a fourth bridge, which is the E, F, F sharp, 6, and on up. Great question. Fundamentally, what happens in those bridges is you have overtones that are dropping off, which are from your lower register, whatever that is, and some overtones that are kicking in, that are coming in the higher register. Michael asked, in exercise, Chuck, in the exercises, chapter 1, how do you hold your jaw when dropping in? Chapter 1, 11. Or chapter 111. Michael, I'm not sure where that's located. Could you help me which book you're referring to? Or if it's a course, I'm not sure what you mean. Where do you hold your, how do you hold your jaw? Just generally speaking, I try not to hold my jaw in any particular fashion. because I don't want any tension here. And so no matter what I'm doing, pretty much just relax, okay, and very speech-like. I don't talk like this, so why would I lock it in? I don't talk like that, so I don't want to overdo it. I just want to be very speech level. Now, I will say on the top, if I were doing this long scale here, I might drop my jaw a little bit more to let some of that very high pitch, very high energy, the high pitches, let that high energy go out. And rather than keeping my mouth, it's a little bit easier to drop your jaw as you go higher, so that energy is you're making sure the energy is going out. So you can let it drop while you're going on those higher notes. Hi, I'm Wink. Hi, Wink. How long does it take pulled chest, high larynx? How long takes pulled chest, high larynx exercise? By the way, thanks for the answer from email. You're welcome, Peter. How long does it take? So, you know, those exercises, I got to tell you that it took me about 6 weeks before I really could sing a note that was beyond where I thought I could ever sing before. And even then, I was still pulling my chest voice a little bit, but at least I was getting there. So for me, it took a couple months. I don't think it necessarily takes that long. I mean, I can get you, if a student here in my studio, and I think probably many of you found that you can get into, you can get the larynx down and stop pulling chest and get into your head voice pretty quickly. Then how long does it take for it to be like, you know, it's impressive that you can sing higher, but sing a high note, but is your high note impressive? It takes a little time for that. So, and it just varies from person to person. My mixed voice can go only up to some level and I hit a ceiling, just like chest voice. What can I do? Well, John, I don't know about you, but my vocal cords won't adjust infinitely. There's just a certain point where they can only go so high. And so I suppose there's always a limit to the top. And so where that is, I think, is probably determined by whatever your whatever the genetic is, whatever the vocal folds themselves, the vocal cords themselves are going to permit. Our job is that we allow them to do the very best that they can. So, and I could demonstrate it, but it doesn't mean anything because my voice is different than yours, and everybody's here that's with us today. We all have different voices, and we all have different ranges. I can tell you this: I saw Seth Riggs when he was 86 years old. Well, I guess he was 85. Sing the high C. I mean C6 on, I think he was singing Gee or Goo, something like that. That blew me away. Now, he was just doing an exercise, but he wasn't in falsetto. So, you know, what I just said, you know, I guess you have to kind of take that into consideration. I might be able to hit the high A on you know, the A5 on a really good day on some exercise. And I'm not talking about a whistle squeak, you know, I'm talking about an actual sound. But the question is, John, what's your voice doing in the first bridge? That's usually where the source of the problem is. If I'm pulling a little bit in the first bridge, I'm going to pull in the second bridge, I probably won't even get to the third bridge. So I would always revisit the first bridge. Can you do this? Goo, 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 goo. Or are you saying goo, 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 goo? Because if you are, your larynx is going up and you're pulling the chest voice a little bit. So we've got to make sure the first bridge is really, really in good shape so that I can have the second and the third bridge. Goo, 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 goo. Well, that was almost a high G and somewhat still coming off a sick voice. But we have to make sure that that first bridge is really doing well, so that whatever ceiling is actually there, and we all have them, is not because our larynx is up and we're pulling it. It's because we've just reached the limit. Or as Captain Hook would say, I've reached me limit. Okay. Sorry. All right, Alta, what is wrong with the E4 for the male voice? F4 is easier singing than E4. Isn't that the case? Isn't that crazy to now be saying that the higher notes are easier than the lower notes? Alta, it gets harder because we can do it easily in chest. We probably have been doing it in chest all our lives. And so the natural tendency is just to do it in chest. And so when we get there, we're fighting it. Should I do it in chest, or should I allow my bridge, allow the bridging process to start? And that's, sorry, I've got this funny thing in my voice right now because I demonstrated that whistle thing. I don't think it's a good idea, personally. And so, alto, it gets better, it gets easier over time, that E. Because I'm now pretty much able just to land right on a mixed voice. If I said, no, 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 I'm right on my mix. No, 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 no. For me, the E flat really became the tough one. And D was always hard. No, 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 no. Now that's very different than what I used to sing. No, 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 no. Just chest it. So that's the reason why it's so very challenging. Women probably experience the same thing on the A flat or the A flat. And it'll get better, it'll get easier, it'll get more and more consistent. Eventually, you won't feel it much. If I were the D above middle C, no, 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 no. Those are all pretty much the same. And that's right smack dab in the bridge. That's not an easy thing to do. But that will come. I'm Anita. I'm Anita. Hi, nice to have you with us. How can I know that I have serious problem of respiration while singing? Excuse me just a minute. Sorry, I mentioned I had coming off this illness. How can I know that I have a serious problem of respiration while singing? I'm not sure exactly what your question is. Is it, how do I know if I do, or how do I know if I can fix it? I'd recommend going to my website and watch the 2 videos on breath control, breathing. So go to the Knowledge Center on the website, and we can quickly revisit that again just to show you how to get there. If I go to my home screen, and I'm going to bring you into that again. This is a way to answer a lot of questions that we may not even get to today. Go to the home screen, powertosing.com, and click on the menu in the Knowledge Center. The Knowledge Center will take you to, on the right-hand side, the Knowledge Center categories. Select this and then go to breath control. And under breath control, we now have 5 videos that are talking about breathing. I recommend that you start with episode number 15 and number 16. These are really good helps for all of us who might be struggling with breathing, okay? So I think that's the fastest, easiest way to answer that question. Watch those 2 videos and then watch the other videos there to help you determine whether you do have a breathing problem and how to address it, how to fix it. Hopefully that helps. Nate, thank you very much. My vocal teacher described my voice type as tenor. Honestly, sometimes I have serious issues even after our exercise of vocal warm-ups with high notes on some songs we train. Yeah, I I saw this young man one time working with Mr. Riggs, and he thought he was a bass or a baritone, and Mr. Riggs turned around and said, "Now you are a tenor," and the guy shakes his head like that. He would not accept it. And it was really fun because Mr. Riggs says, "Now this is very exciting. All of you are watching the birth of a tenor." Well, I would trust Seth Riggs if he said, that somebody is a tenor. His ear was so highly developed that he could determine that in a few minutes of working with the voice. But sometimes we don't accept it because we can't do it yet or something. But remember, there's more than just range. There's more than just high notes. I've got high notes, but I'm really not a tenor. I'm a bass with tenor notes. Ellie, another issue I have is keeping my placement forward. Any tips for mask forward consistency? Ellie, I've never used the word mask. I've never used the word placement. I just do the exercises that I give, Power to Sing, will allow, and if we allow it, get out of the way of ourselves, it will allow the resonance to go where it will go. And so the exercises cause the placement. The exercises enable it to be basically self-placing. So the technique I teach is self-placing. All right, so as soon as I touch the screen here, it bounces up to reveal a bunch of other questions. Sometime I sing very good, and this is BHATT, DB. Hi. Sometimes I sing very good, and sometimes, even when I do my exercises very good, I'm not able to sing properly. Why? I can only guess because I haven't heard you. But some of my students, they think they're doing it right, and they're not doing it right. They're doing it wrong. And so their larynx starts coming up, and they start cracking or breaking, and they can't figure out why. Well, they're not hearing it or not feeling it, but the larynx is coming up, and the chest voice is being pulled. Or the same thing can happen if the vocal cords aren't coming together adequately. Perhaps there's too much laxity in the chord closure, and so they're not getting. So then now the larynx is starting to come up because it's trying to help get bigger tone. There's any number of reasons why. It's probably because something technically is not being done. You think you think you're doing it right, but because you're not doing it right, it starts to create other problems. I'm going to guess that's the reason why. Now, it's possible that you have acid reflux. You wake up and something the next morning, and you're hoarse because of it, or maybe you live in a very, very dry desert area like I do, and your vocal cords are completely dried out, or maybe you're starting to get a cold, or you have an allergy, or some other illness of some sort. Those are all factors, and that's a possibility. I'm a male with a deep voice. What are some tips for maintaining a great singing voice? Well, Matt, maintaining a great singing voice, don't smoke, don't drink alcohol, go easy on caffeine right before you sing, because I understand it dehydrates the voice. I would say get plenty of rest, plenty of sleep, drink a lot of fluids, and try and be in good physical condition, because that's going to reflect also in your voice, and then use good technique. The technique is probably the most important part of it, because if you're abusing your voice, then you will eventually have you'll lose your voice. And a case in point is Adele, who has now hemorrhaged the second time in 6 years, and it just puts everything in doubt. So we've got to settle for good technique, so that if you have a long career and be able to sing for many years and keep your voice in top shape. sometimes it's easier to actually sing. My goodness, it's quarter till the hour. We're going to have to wrap this up in the next few minutes. Sometimes it's easier to actually sing the high pitch, but it sometimes strains. At which pitch should we switch to the head voice? For men, you start blending in the chest voice. You start blending a chest and head voice in the first bridge. For the men, that's the E, F, F sharp above middle C. Mum, 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 mum. Mum, 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 mum. So E, F, F sharp for men. Women, A, B flat, B, and C above middle C. Those are all the A4, B flat 4, B, C5. That's when you start transitioning from chest into head. So in the bridge, you're mixing it chest and head, and by the time you're through the bridge, you should be in head voice. Amain asks another question. Number 2, I tried exercises online to figure out my voice range, but it didn't work actually. How could I know what is my range exactly? Well, there's a video that I have if you want to just know what your, so if, I'm not sure what your question is. Do you want to know if you're a bass or a tenor or a soprano or alto? Or do you want to know what your range is? In other words, I can tell you your range by how low you can go. Your range would be E2 on the bottom and maybe C5 on the top. I can tell you your range. That doesn't necessarily mean I can tell you what your, if someone heard me do that, they might say, well, you must be a tenor because you can sing the C5. You know, so there's a lot of other different things that go into, and that's not your, so knowing whether you're a countertenor or a lyric tenor or a spinto or, you know, some kind of a soprano or a contralto, some kind of alto or a basso cantata or whatever, those are all things that take into consideration the timbre of your voice, the tessitura, where you speak, some of the other part of the voice, that the tonal qualities of it, and so forth. And so I'm really unable to determine the vocal classification. The vocal type that I've determined is, you know, pull chest, high larynx, and so forth. We do in the tests on the home page, which I showed you earlier. Okay. Moving on here, try and get a couple more in. How to stop singing falsetto on the bridge. One of the best ways to, if we find as we're getting ready to sing, and this is from the cooler, I don't know whether you're male or female, but for a male, if he starts going in falsetto, if I said, ah, then one of the things I need to do is kind of, two ways I can do it is that bratty sound, nay, 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 and start to learn to get through that without flipping. Or I can do a dopey gee, 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 gee. The exercises in powertosing.com for pulled chest, high larynx, flip falsetto particularly are going to help you learn how to do that without going into falsetto. That's on, and you can, if you missed the first part of this video, then come back and watch it, and it explains how you can get your vocal type and get the exercises to help you. Angel, I'm so thankful. I don't know if you remember me, but I'm grateful for what you did. Angel, it seems like I do remember. Oh yeah, I do. Yeah, good. Thank you very much, Angel. My pleasure. Thanks, Altug. Hi, Wink. How long will it take if I'll train pulled chest, high larynx exercise to correctly see some results? If I were working with you personally here, you'd see results in 30 minutes. online, I think maybe ask some of the other people here. I think you can see results quickly, depending on how accurately you're able to do the exercises as demonstrated. But really, within a few hours of work, you should start to see some remarkable progress if the exercises are done right. How long will it? Let's see. Am I running out of time? My assistant has come to tell me it's time to go. Yeah, so what I may have to do is just like look some of these questions over and answer them in a minute. Let me see if I can get some more here. I got another important question. I can't pronounce your name. It looks as if it may be, well, I don't know. I don't know what language it is. I've got another important question. I found that I can't always keep the larynx at the same height. It is about 1 centimeter higher on the B4 and then on the C4. Than on the C4. Is it normal, or have I got high larynx problem? You know, I don't know. I don't know about how, you know, in terms of how far it moves up and down to tell you that that's a problem or not. Like a buoy in the water, the larynx is going to be moving up and down slightly, but I can tell you right away by the sound. And if I'm saying the difference between these notes that you're talking about, B4 and C4, B4, then on C4, yeah. So if I said, ah, and I said, ah, I would feel like my larynx is staying pretty stable. But if I said, ah, even on the C4, I'd say my larynx was up. And if I were saying, ah, or something like that, I would say the larynx is too high. So if there's a pull, if there's tension, if there's a splat, if there's a spread of the mouth and the vowel and so forth, the larynx is too high. If you're able to do these without the vowel spreading, without the feeling of yelling and tension and so forth, then it's probably not that high. So I would have to hear how you're doing the B4, and I could then tell you if it's too high. But I couldn't do it by a measurement of millimeters or a centimeter. So that's something that I would have to judge by the tonal quality, and the sound of what you're doing. That's all I can say in this kind of a situation. I'd have to hear it. How to mix head and chest voice. Everyone talks about it, but does not explain how to do it. If I said, ah, there's no mix. It's just pulling up chest. Now, if I take the ah and say ah, see. If I said ah, ah, watch what happens if I go from ah to ah. Ah. Now there's a split resonance. Part of the vibrations in my mouth, part of it's gone up above the roof of my mouth. Now, if at any time that vowel goes back to ah, let's watch what happens. Mix, pulled up chest. That's how you do it. Alto whistle register. Justin. Yeah, I think it's Justin. New York vocal coaching. Thanks, Alto. The exercises with the A or the G are making me hoarse. What can be the reason? Don't do them as hard as you're doing them. And I find that hoarseness if the voice is scratchy, that's one thing. But if you're getting hoarse, don't do them as hard, and maybe you need to shorten your exercise time. it's possible that you're really not. I would make sure you're doing them a little bit on the dopey side, okay? I think exercises every day. Infinity on High asks how should we, how often should we do the exercises? Exercises every day. It's kind of like working out. You know, if you work out every day, and I'm not talking excessive. It's if you do some every day, you're going to get in good shape. Same thing with the vocal exercises. I don't think it's necessary to do hours and hours a day. Just do it consistently every day, and you're going to see very marked improvement fairly quickly. Okay. Okay. Let me just. Oh, what's that says? Slightly drop your jaw. Yeah. So if you're doing if you're slightly dropping your jaw, it would be more like if I said. So that's slightly dropping. If I said that's too much. And if I'm not doing it at all, there's not enough there. So you need to just a little bit. Level when going higher on pitch. I'm not sure, Michael, what that is. Chapter level when going. Oh, the chapter. Okay, gotcha. All right. Aaron Stewart, Cyrut. Hi, Chuck. You always talk about head voice. I think it's important as well. But for me, falsetto is the only way to sing much higher. Do you think practicing on falsetto is important for singing as a male? I don't know. You know, I don't have any students that I haven't been able to help get in their head voice. So I don't know what's going on with their voice. I've been able to, all the songs that I'm doing up on my head voice, even in the higher notes, are not in falsetto. I'm not disconnecting. So it sounds like the issue is that the larynx is coming up or something because there's no physical reason unless you have like a nodule or something that's throwing you into falsetto. I'd have to listen to Aaron, what you're doing. So I don't encourage students to practice falsetto because I'd rather them practice their head voice instead. I don't know how to answer that any other way other than the technique that I'm teaching does not encourage or do the head voice. All right, so it looks like I've got to go here. It's almost on the hour. I've gone over a little overtime today, and gosh, we still have a bunch of questions. I'll try and address some of these after maybe in another video or something like that. But thanks everybody and I'm sorry if I couldn't be completely, sometimes you just have to hear what's going on with the voice to really be accurate. So thanks for joining me today. I hope that this has been helpful. I always feel bad when I'm leaving, leaving all these unanswered questions, but I think I'm just going to probably have to call it today and say it's been a good hour. Thanks for joining me. If you like this, if you like this format of just doing you ask and I'll answer, maybe we can do some more of them. There's sometimes I really do have some things that specifically want to say that's been a result of something that's happened during the week, and but I wanted to try this today and let me know, and some more. Come back and once the video is uploaded on the YouTube, come back and make some comments on it. That would be nice. I'd like to hear what your thoughts are. And in fact, on some of your questions here, if you want to come back once the video is posted and rewrite that question in there, I'll get back to it and I'll answer it for you. Okay? It won't be as fast as it is today, but anyway. So thanks very much. I'm Chuck Gilmore with Power to Sing Live, number 40. You can sing higher with beauty, confidence, and power. I'll see you inside the next video. Thanks.